of the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Now, as part of our investigation, we spoke to 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁𝗄𝗏, who is a former Israeli spy. He said on the record unequivocally that Jeffrey Epstein was working for Israeli intelligence operations, the Mossad, and running a classic honey trap operation. That is, lure people inside, record their activities and learn about their peccadillos and use it to blackmail them. This is a former spy on the record in the new book, Epstein Dead Men Tell No Tales. Interestingly, this person was also the handler of Jeffrey Epstein's best friend and ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. She was said to have been one of the women who helped procure the underage girls for Epstein. She has denied that. But her father was Robert Maxwell, a media and press baron who owned the Mirror News Group in England and also the New York Daily News. He was a former Mossad agent. And according to my source, 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁𝗄𝗏, the business that Robert Maxwell had was turned over to Jeffrey Epstein almost in a switch before Robert Maxwell died in mysterious circumstances off the back of a boat in 1991.
Well, this is mind-boggling stuff.
The mainstream media narrative is, we don't know about Ghislaine Maxwell. She denies all wrongdoing. And basically, Epstein was a pedophile and was a successful banker. He made lots of money, and he was a criminal pedophile, and he died in a jail awaiting justice. That's the story. Nothing to do with Mossad, nothing to do with the Israeli military intelligence, nothing to do with Israel.
Yeah, they would deny it. It's a real bad story, and they would deny it. But he was put straight with the Israelis by Robert Maxwell at the time, a military intelligence, and started working there for them.
I mean, when I was in the Mossad, and we had a guy that gave us problems in the U.S., and he was speaking out, and he was talking like Pete talked once and said, Israel is bombing Lebanon with cluster bombs. We say, hey, who's that guy? You know? �~𝗏𝗁𝗃𝗃𝗃, we used to call him. Yeah, which is Pete the cockroach. Because he makes a lot of noise and you can't get rid of him. So what you do is you get in touch with a guy in the station in New York or in the station in Washington. You say, tell the guys at B'nai B'rith to label him. And of course the campaign starts, and before you know it, the guy's labeled. And he's an anti-Semite. Because that's what we say he is. And that's one stain you cannot wash. Now, it shames me as a Jew to tell you that. But that's the fact. And it's wrong.
Very honest, we've been seeing a lot of that as of late, as we start asking questions, meaningful questions that we deserve the answers to, particularly as it deals with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyways, Victor claims that regarding Robert Maxwell, quote, the Mossad financed many of its operations in Europe with money that was stolen from Maxwell's newspaper's pension fund. They got their hands on the funds almost as soon as Maxwell bought the Mirror, his newspaper group, with money that was loaned to him by the Mossad. I'm sorry, just to slow that down and make sure you understand, what he is saying is the Mossad gave him the money to go ahead and buy the Mirror Group publishing. And then the moment that he got it, they took all of the pension fund money and they spent it so that they could fulfill clearly Israel's interests. Robbing pension funds to support Israel. Back to Ghislaine, because she is the daughter of a Mossad agent. There's no question about that. Robert Maxwell was her father, and the Mossad does not deny that Robert Maxwell was an agent, and therefore the most obvious link between Epstein and the Mossad would be Ghislaine. Because the news story that's emerging is that Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell met in the 90s, right? So they're saying that news story because Robert Maxwell was already dead. That thereby deletes any possibility that Epstein could have been connected to the Mossad via Robert Maxwell. He really just genuinely met Ghislaine Maxwell in the 90s. And I really hate to destroy that narrative. Actually, I'm lying. I don't really hate to destroy that narrative. I actually just hate liars. But here we go. This is a guy I'd like to introduce you to. His name is 𝗖𝗆𝗶𝗁𝗄𝗏. He's a man who who claimed to have had several meetings with Jeffrey Epstein in Robert Maxwell's office all throughout the 80s. Like a decade before the media is telling you Ghislaine met Epstein. 𝗷𝗍𝗱𝗁𝗄 would certainly know, considering he worked for the Mossad, and he even spent time in prison due to his work for the Mossad because he got caught being an agent for Israel. So I'm going to show you this clip, and credit here to the work, tremendous work, and we'll credit people along the way here, of Whitney Webb, 𝗧𝗿𝗱𝗶𝗁𝗍, these people who have been on this Epstein story for years. Well, 𝗧𝗿𝗱𝗶𝗁𝗍 has a podcast called Narrative, and he interviewed 𝗷𝗍𝗱𝗁𝗄 in 2019. I'm going to show you a couple of these clips. If you're listening to this on audio, it might be difficult for you to decipher if you're not reading along, but it's okay because I'm going to break down everything after. Here is the first clip. And again, this is Ari, who is speaking with 𝗧𝗿𝗱𝗶𝗁𝗄. Take a listen.
So Maxwell introduces you. He says, here's this young guy. Yeah. And did he go by the name Jeffrey Epstein or did he go by a different name?
I remember Epstein, Jeff Epstein.
Okay. Because he had a different passport that he was traveling in and out of.
That's right. Yeah, but that came later in the parish.
Okay. So he says to you, here's this guy Jeffrey Epstein who I know from around.
And your Israeli bosses have approved him.
Oh, okay.
Already approved him.
So it came down from up above. So what did he do? Can you say what he did for you? Like what kind of work did you guys do together?
No, he didn't do anything.
Oh, so you met him and that was it?
I met him a few times in Maxwell's office. That was it.
And did he do any arms deals for anybody else that you were aware of?
Not that I know.
Because there was the, I guess there was an
he didn't.
MI5
he
operation.
wasn't very competent. He didn't seem to be a competent guy. He didn't seem to be. But he was a good-looking guy. And Miss Maxwell.
Ghislaine,
fell for him.
Early in the 80s.
So he is describing how he met Jeffrey Epstein in Robert Maxwell's office, and he is making it clear that he was with Ghislaine. He thinks Ghislaine loved Jeffrey Epstein. And I'm going to let you listen to another clip where he describes how both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine were agents for Israel. Take a listen.
She got involved with Israeli intelligence together with him.
Right.
But not in this arms deal, in Iran or business.
Would you say she was an agent as well? Was she someone working for Israeli intelligence?
Oh, definitely.
Military intelligence as well?
Yes.
And when that happens, because I have no idea how that world works, so I'm learning a little bit.
It happened by accident.
Do you get orders and you have to do certain things, or is it more like...
No, you get projects. What really happened, my take on it and the later thing, is that these guys were seen as agents, but they weren't really competent to do very much. And so they found a niche for themselves, blackmailing American and other political figures.
For the Israelis? So it's hard for people to understand why Israel would want to get blackmail on an American. I'm asking a question that I can answer it quite probably, but for most people it's hard for them to think about Israel as being blackmailing their leaders in the United States. It's a very...
It was quite their MO. See, sleeping around is not a crime. Maybe embarrassing, but not a crime. But sleeping with underage girls is a crime.
Now, 𝗷𝗍𝗱𝗁𝗄 is very clearly stating that they found a niche. The two of them were not confident, but they found a niche, and that was collecting blackmail on American politicians, that they were able to do this. They were facilitating this blackmail, and therefore they were valuable. They became valuable to the Mossad because they were able to get blackmail. Again, this is coming from 𝗷𝗍𝗱𝗁𝗄, who is now an Israeli-Canadian citizen who worked for the Mossad in arms deals. And that is the reason why he says that he met with Epstein in Robert Maxwell's office. 𝗷𝗍𝗱𝗁𝗄's meeting with Epstein in Robert Maxwell's office in London dates back to the Iran-Contra scandal.